Next, we have Eliza Ennis and Abigail, who are both seniors at Albuquerque Academy and editors of their school newspaper, The Advocate.
Hello, so I'm Eliza Ennis, and I'm the editor-in-chief of the Albuquerque Academy student newspaper, The Advocate.
I'm Abby Williams. I'm the cover story editor for the paper.
And so our paper runs on a 5-week cycle, and we have about 7 issues that come out every year. We have an editorial board as well as a staff, and the paper runs through 6 through 12. And really the goal of the paper is to be a forum for student expression, and it's entirely student run, from the photography and the graphics, so all of these covers were done by students, and as well as the writing and then the layout and design. We have a bunch of sections within our paper, and most of them are fairly straightforward. So there's news and features, arts, opinion, and sports. And one of the more complex sections is cover story, so I'll let Abby explain that.
As I said, I'm a cover story editor. Cover story is each issue we have a particular topic that we choose and we want to dedicate the focus of the issue to. Recently we talked about the role of corporations in the changing world today, and it's a really good way to bring more abstract topics to student attention and to give students a forum to sort of explore topics that are both international and within the school community, everywhere in between.
And that's kind of the goals of the paper as well. So for example, in the news and features section, we have very local issues. We interview students who have come on exchange. We interview new teachers. We have articles about the speech and debate team and about the math counts team and all sorts, but then at the same time we expand to the larger community. So we expand to Albuquerque. For example, we did an article about McCall's Pumpkin Patch, which is in Moriarty, New Mexico. And then we start expanding to a national and international level. And generally, our articles about the national and international issues are within the opinion section. So we've had articles about the way that people are discussing women's issues and how they're overly focusing on abortion instead of talking about contraceptives as well as just basic health issues. And then we've also had articles on a global scale talking about the problems in Syria and the U.S. involvement abroad.
I think that a lot of times it's hard for students, especially because our school goes from grades 6th grade up to 12, so it's hard for students to really get a grasp on the issues in our society. When you watch the news, there's a lot of biases, there's a lot of technical terms, and it's hard to sort of figure out what's going on. And I think learning about these issues from another student at their school who presents them in this way is a really good way for using students to get connected and sort of understand the world around them.
And since they're all written by students and graphics done by students, not only are the students and faculty who are reading the paper learning about these issues, but you learn to an even greater depth when you're involved in the paper about the specific issues, and you really get to have a very personal view on the issues. And we've also had outside perspectives come in, so occasionally we've had faculty write, it's kind of a question-answer sort of, we call it a man on the street, where we get a faculty perspective on a certain issue. But we've also had letters to the editor, and one of them, for example, was from a Syrian student who attends the Albuquerque Academy, and her views on the conflict in Syria. So we run on a 5-week cycle, and it's kind of hard to see here, but the first week is brainstorming and assignment week. And then the second week is interview, writing, and photography, and kind of graphics week as well. So that's where, and that also goes into the third week, so everyone is working on basically creating the content for the paper.
And this is the part of the cycle where we have the greatest student participation. We have students in every grade here at the Academy sort of go out into the community and interviewing people, taking photos, doing all of the work. Sort of comes back together after that for when we read the copy. That's we edit all of the articles for content for grammar,
Yeah, okay. And so then we also have design, and the design generally starts even just at assignments, because we start creating ideas of how we want to present these ideas to the student population, because we want to have articles that make people really interested, but we also want to engage them in the way that it's laid out on the page and the photography that will bring them into it. And if we have a cover that pops with excitement in the graphics, then people will be more willing to read the story.
I think the way you package information is almost as important as the content of the information itself in terms of student opinion and the way it reflects on our paper as well as our school.
And we have, because we have such a wide range of people reading the paper, from the 6th graders to the faculty and staff who have been here for a really long time, we also have a very large variety of content. So we have a puzzle page where there are crosswords and identifying whether a story is true or false about our school, and little fun pieces of information scattered throughout the paper, but at the same time, we really delve into really important world and local problems.
I think a good illustration of that is, in this most recent issue, I wrote an opinion article on net neutrality, which is the ability of internet service providers to limit internet access, which has a lot of implications in terms of quality and stuff like that. But also, I wrote a little blurb for, we had a Dear Abby column, because we have 4 different people who are named Abby on our newspaper staff, so we had 4 different Abby's responses. So I think it's a really good illustration of the variety of material we try to incorporate in our paper.
Yeah. So then we have design and layout, and then we review and edit all of the pages. So as editor-in-chief, I read every article twice during, when it's just in article form, and then when it's put on the page, I read all of those pages until they're ready to go to press. And then we send the entire package to a printer downtown, and they print it for us, and then we go and pick it up. And then we distribute it around school for everyone to read. So, yeah, you want to start with this?
Well, I mean, we've touched on a lot of this already, but assignments is really the beginning of each issue. We have all of our staff members come together and brainstorm, so we get a lot of different variety here. We get the 6th graders have different concerns than the seniors, for example, so this is a really good time to sort of bring it all together and make a plan.
Yeah, and then once we brainstorm, then the editorial board, and there are about 50 staff members, and then the editorial board is around 12 students, and we have editors for every section as well as assistants, and then graphics and photos editors as well. And then we have assignment contracts, and for people who have been writing for a really long time, generally the assignment contracts are extremely simple. They say what the title of the story is and what the main focus is going to be. So for net neutrality, it would say that you are going to be writing an opinion article about net neutrality, and here are several sources that you can look at for some ideas. Please look at lots of other sources as well, and then it also gives a word count as to how long it should be. And so then once we have this kind of general framework in place, then writers go out and they can add whatever elements that they want to it to make it their own and to add their creative view into the paper.
We touched on a lot of this already, but once the articles come in, we have the editorial board. Each section editor reads the articles in their section, and then we pass it along to a copy editor, and of course our editor-in-chief and our sponsor read every article. And there's a lot that goes into revising each article. As you can see, we have a lot of revisions on each one, but the idea is that we want to create the most concise, clear, interesting format that we can to present to our students. That's the fun part, in my opinion. Anyways, the best part is once you have all of the articles ready to go, we design all of the pages. We think we have 32 pages and 12 color pages, which is the most we've ever done, so that was really fun. We do all of it ourselves after school. We don't have a classroom, and
Yeah, and so we have both color and black and white pages. Originally we just had black and white pages, and then the additional pages and also the color pages we paid for through our advertising. But we have a wide variety of pages, and I think this is where the editors really get to put their voice into how they want to make the students really interested in the issues. And so you can see there's a wide variety of designs, and there's opinion and arts, and everyone's really enjoyed it. And it's entirely student-run, as we said, and we have a faculty sponsor who reads all the articles, but she is not allowed to really change anything, but she just gives us suggestions. And this is our editorial board.
I think one aspect that we didn't touch on as much is sort of the value that I think being a part of the Advocate has brought to our high school experience. Personally, I know I've really felt like a part of a community, and it's really, I've met a lot of people that I never would have met. I got to interview people in the community that were so interesting, and I've been exposed to so many different perspectives. I've had almost a pre-professional experience in terms of the responsibility I've been given in producing this paper, and it's really nice to have something at the end that you can hold in your hand and be really proud of. It's
yeah, every 5 weeks being able to come up with a paper that is really representing your school is definitely a really wonderful feeling, and then being able to walk around campus and see other people reading it is really great.